Hi, I'm Kimisha, Blackwood's Healthcare Learning Center, and I wanted to share with you quickly just a few things I wish I knew before I did my nursing exam. So I had to do an OSCE, which is an objective structured clinical exam in 2017 as a part of the requirements for nurses who wish to practice in Ontario, Canada. The College of Nurses at the time had deemed that there were deficiencies in my degree program that I did, and so I needed to prove my competency level as a nurse. So that was why that exam was there. It's a two-part exam. The first part is a multiple choice, sort of a 97, between 97 and 100 questions. And the second part is a 12-station physical clinical exam. So number one, I thought that the exam was one of the easiest, hardest exams I ever had to do. They weren't asking things that I didn't know, but it took a while because it's so scary. You're not sure about this exam. At the time that I was doing it, you had one chance to do it, and if you failed, then you would have to now go on to do another nursing degree, and so you can imagine the amount of anxiety that sort of a situation brought. Another thing was the length of the exam. I think I was there between 6 and 7 hours. They did provide a meal, which is great, and they also take into consideration your preferences, your allergies. So that was really, really good because I didn't have to now leave or go figure out what to eat. I didn't have to bring any meals. They provided, and that was very, very good. One thing I didn't know at the time was that the OSCE was not mandatory. The College of Nurses of Ontario, based on their assessment, may or may not refer you to do an OSCE. If you are one of the persons who is deemed to be needing to do an OSCE, and they send you this letter with information to get in touch with Touchstone, then you have the option of opting out. If you opt out, meaning that you've decided that you are not going to go through with this OSCE, there is no way the college can complete the assessment, and as such, the application, considering your nursing education and your practice, cannot go forward. That processing will pretty much come to a stop, and you would now be resigning in your mind that you will be going back to school to meet the educational requirements, and then you would apply at the end of that tenure. One of the things too that I realized after was that you have to practice. Practice. It's not just about knowing the information, but it's practicing the skills of assessment, of information gathering, of communicating. I will be the first to tell you that I can be a very shy person, and talking and expressing myself is something that I'm working on. But for the OSCE, you have to be able to communicate, to share, and to whatever task you're doing, you have to be able to have the examiner be aware of this is your train of thoughts, this is what your plan is. And so you're doing the task if it's a task that needs to be done, as well as you're communicating what it is that you're doing. Be prepared also to not just talk of your own, but allow the examiner, because sometimes, more often than not, they have a question or two that they want to ask you. And so you have to be aware of their body language, aware of what's happening with them as well, so that you can be in tune to respond to whatever questions they have. In the room, you usually have one physical examiner who is with you in the room, and then behind that room, there's like a glass panel that usually has another one or two examiners. So in all, you can be examined by 2 or 3 persons, one physically in the room with you, and 2 behind a glass stuff area that they are also examining you as well, because the idea is to maintain this exam as objective as is possible. So they do have a checklist that you have to meet the requirements on that checklist, and in addition to that, the completion of the checklist or the meeting the requirements on the checklist, then these examiners now are also taking note and being a part of the final grading process.